Tory MP Natalie Elphicke defected to Labour, hitting out at what she called the broken promises of Rishi Sunak's tired and chaotic government. Interesting timing, but also, I mean, what's fascinating here is she's a Kent MP. She's spoken to us many times as her husband previously about the issue of, illegal migration, legal migration. Does she seriously think that Labour, Tories have done a terrible job, but does she think Labour are going to do a better job?
Well, this is why I think it's actually quite significant, because the two things that spring to mind is on the back of the local election results, where Rishi Sunak appears to have sort of fended off an uprising of Tory MPs to sort of put in letters and have a vote of confidence.
Yes, the results were bad,
leader.
but not quite as bad as some had feared.
Exactly, and I think today would have been an opportunity for Rishi to be in the House of Commons, to take on Sir Keir Starmer at PMQs, as you say, to sort of reset the moment and to say, look, actually, this is what his government is doing. To now have a defection just before that is a blow in itself, but to have an MP, as you were saying, who is on an MP for Dover, Kent, where illegal immigration is one of the number one priorities of Rishi Sunak's government, stopping the boats. That's a big headline that we hear constantly, time and time again. The idea that the MP for an area that is impacted maybe more than most on this issue, I think is very damaging. And the idea that this MP is now defecting to Labour suggests that she thinks that the Labour Party will do a better job.
But what's interesting is, Dan Poulter, who's a doctor who he defected last week. I think it was on Monday, wasn't it, before the local elections. It feels like a lifetime ago then, doesn't it? But he's not standing at the next general election. We already know that. He's a former minister. But Natalie Elphicke, she's also not standing at the next election. So it's sort of quite intriguing. What's the purpose then? What's the point of you doing this?
Well, you've got to then ask, yes, what is in it for them perhaps at the end of it? Is it a move to the Lords? Is there something else in government that they might be appointed to so they have a job afterwards? But what is also telling is that, yes, Dan Poulter is a doctor and he came out criticising Rishi Sunak for the NHS. That's one of his number
Although
one...
the Health Secretary pointed out she'd never at any point written any questions to her or spoke to her about his concerns.
Exactly. But I think what we're seeing now is that, as say, Dr. Dan Poulter, from the NHS, or to say that he's leaving because he doesn't believe the Tories can tackle the backlog in the NHS and all the problems that we see there. We now see the MP for Kent talking about migration being an issue. These are the priorities that Rishi Sunak has set out. These are his top 5 pledges, and he's got MPs in those areas that are saying the Tories effectively can't be trusted with these areas. So do we now see, in the weeks ahead, another defection from someone that might be an economic minister,
Yes,
for example,
I think they're going to be, stringing these out, aren't they? Stephen Swinford from the Political Times just put out the full statement from Tory MP for Dover, Natalie Elphicke. She says the Tory party has changed beyond recognition and looks to the future, to building a Britain of hope, optimism, opportunity and fairness. She says Rishi Sunak's government is failing to keep borders safe and secure and failing to build enough houses, which we've been talking about. We need to move on from the broken promises of Rishi Sunak's tired and chaotic government. She said that's why it's time for change, time for a Labour government led by Keir Starmer. The general election cannot come soon enough. I think a lot of people feel that way. But fascinating, she's complaining about the government not keeping the borders safe and secure. I mean, what policy have... I think they've been appallingly bad. But I don't know what policy she thinks Labour are going to have which is going to make a difference. Absolutely fascinating. If you want to get in touch about that, we're just going to have a string of defections, but by MPs who are standing down. That's the bizarre thing.